Hello and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I am Lami Ali. Thank you for joining us. A few days to the commencement of the COP26 holding in the United Kingdom, Nigeria's expectation is that more developed countries will change the direction of the conversation around energy transition in favor of Africa at the Global Summit, according to Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. He stated this at a virtual panel discussion titled A Just Transition, Balancing Climate Mitigation with Africa's Developments, organized by the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change. With him on the panel were the President of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu Hassan, the former British Prime Minister, Tony Blair, and the Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, Dr. Vera Songwe. The COP26 summit is scheduled to hold in Glasgow, Scotland, from October 31st. Meanwhile, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has stressed the need for peaceful coexistence among all people as he joins the Christian community in the northern parts of the country as the 17th International Prophecy Conference holding in Kafanchan, Kaduna State. State House correspondent Gideon Ifalu brings us the reports.
It is a time for celebration. And also a time for reflection at the 17th International Prophecy Prayer Conference here in Abuja, Kaduna State. Among the congregation is Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who is invited to speak in blessing of the people and the nations of the church. The Vice President emphasizes Jesus' love and compassion for the people despite the trials he passed through.
And I always want to emphasize that Jesus Christ did not come to establish a religion.
And while making references to various areas in the Bible, Vice President Osinbajo calls for peace, forgiveness, and righteousness. As he says, these are what exalt our nation.
So despite the fact that you're a pilgrim on this earth, you're a heaven-bound pilgrim on this earth, you are required to seek the peace and prosperity of the land that you're in. You are required to pray to the Lord for it, because if it prospers, as the scripture says, if it prospers, you too will prosper. But as citizens, as leaders, we must make God our companion.
Using the Vice President as a point of contact for the nation, the congregation prayed for Nigeria and other nations passing through difficulties.
For Nigeria to move forward.
The event also includes the celebration of the 30th anniversary of the Throne Room Trust Ministry.
Church must stop criticizing its own.
And Apostle Emmanuel Nuhu Kure's 42 years in the ministry. Jide Onifadi, NTA News.
Also, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, at a conference of Network of African Parliamentarians in Abuja, says Nigeria remains committed to fulfilling her obligations as a member of the ECOWAS, the African Union, and a leading role on the continent. National Assembly correspondent Vivian Edepefo has the reports.
Transnational terrorism, cross-border crime, asymmetrical and cyber warfare, as well as armed conflicts that persist in renewed forms, experts say require another tactical approach. This gathering of African parliamentary members of defense and security committees, therefore, seeks to explore the prospects of the recently developed European Union Peace Facility and the strategies adopted by legislators in discharging their constitutional roles in a pandemic, particularly as it relates to national security. Vice President pointed Nigeria's commitment to Africa's integration and ECOWAS protocol on free movement of goods, people, and services. At a time governments across the continent are dealing with multiple threats that could jeopardize regional security, the Vice President believes the newly established European Peace and Defense Facilities would advance the capacity to promote peace and stability.
As part of our efforts in responding, we have prioritized our commitment to the constitutional imperative of guaranteeing the security and welfare We have embarked upon an ambitious program of reforming critical law enforcement institutions while sustaining consistently increased investment in our defense and security sectors.
We have to domesticate whatever activity that we resolve here in our parliaments. And what is essential also is to also engage executive arms of our government in all our countries.
Drawing from his experience in the military and now a traditional, cultural and religious leader, the Sultan of Sokoto assured of support and leadership in attaining set goals.
And as traditional religious and cultural leaders, we will always be around to support you, to also lead in getting things done. And alhamdulillah, here in Nigeria, I want to tell our African brothers here, we have a very, very close relationship between the National Assembly with the executive and the traditional religious leaders.
The three-day conference has defense and security cooperation between Europe and Africa, new mechanisms and reappropriation as the theme. In Abuja, Vivian Itekpefo, NTA News.
And still on security, the military and other security agencies are intensifying multi-sectoral approach towards the formidable cybersecurity in Nigeria. This is the thrust of the 2021 International Cybersecurity Awareness Program organized by the Defense Space Administration in Abuja, with emphasis on exploiting enhanced cyber technology in the ongoing drive to further safeguard Nigeria and Nigerians from cyber threats. The Defense Space Administration, in collaboration with the Office of the National Security Advisor, is to consolidate efforts on developing a resilient infrastructure and capacity against cyber attacks across the country.
That is being carried out by ransomware and malware globally has become an issue for government. And so there is need for us to institute and ensure compliance with similar attack, especially in our climate in Nigeria.
The 2021 Cybersecurity Awareness is with the theme Developing Cyber Capabilities for the Enhancement of the Armed Forces Operations and National Security. Now, the federal government has inaugurated a vulnerability audit of the Nigerian Correctional Service custodial centers across the country. A statement by the media advisor to the Minister of Interior indicates that the minister tasked the audit to identify false lines in the security setup and penetration levels of the custodial centers. The statement adds that it is sacrilegious for anyone to breach any custodial facility in Nigeria, as it amounts to challenging the sovereignty of Nigeria. Such persons, the minister says, must live to regret their actions. Reacting to the exercise to be carried out by the Nigerian Correctional Service, NCOs, Controller General Halliru Nababa noted that teams will be inaugurated in each of the geopolitical zones and an interim report submitted in the next 1 week. The Information and Culture Minister, Lai Mohammed, has presented a 2022 budget proposal of 7.8 billion naira for the ministry to the Senate Committee on Information and National Orientation. Anthony Forson has the details.
Without any waste of time, Honorable Minister, let us start from you, because we want to know all your proposal of budget 2021 and also 2022.
Chairman, Senate Committee on Information and National Orientation, Danladi Sangara, setting the stage for the Information and Culture Minister, who took time to appeal to the committee to see the need for an increase in budgetary allocation to his ministry for obvious reasons.
Our challenges have been the same over the years. We have never had enough allocation to execute our projects. As we say always, what is before you today, sir, is grossly inadequate to carry out all our responsibilities. We are also, of course, not unmindful of the challenges the country is facing, both in terms of revenue generation and in terms of the epidemic that has also affected not just lives but our source of livelihood.
Responding to questions from members of the committee, Lai Mohammed maintained that with adequate and timely release of funds, the job of his ministry will be made easy.
Yes, feeling the pulse of Nigerians is very important, but we have other means of so doing. And that's one example I gave you, sir. But I agree with you that we clearly need this money. And this argument, Mr. Chairman, will not arise if we have gotten the money as and when.
Out of the over 7.8 billion naira proposed, personnel and overhead will go up 3.9 billion and 900 million naira respectively, while the sum of over 3 billion naira will go for capital projects as it relates to both information and culture sector. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
And still from the legislature, the House of Representatives Committee on Power says federal government's huge investment in the power sector, which from 2015 to date amounts to more than 900 billion naira, should be justified by regulators and operators in the sector. The committee gave the pointer during budgetary appraisals and projections with some agencies in the sector. At these engagements with the Rural Electrification Agency, the Rural Electrification Agency explains that more than 22 billion naira has been released for 264 projects spread across the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria.
This is the very first time in my life in this system that I saw a 100% release.
After we complete these projects, we have a situation where, we don't get certified immediately by NEMSA. The same as the discos as well. We also have that issue of after completion of projects, the discos have not been able to electrify in some communities.
The committee also met with the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission. Meanwhile, the House Committee on Public Service Matters at a budget defense session with the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation called for capacity building for all categories of workers.
You cannot have a resourceful civil servant until and unless when you train them.
We discovered that we don't have planning officers, so most of the NDAs are having a lot of problems, and so we have started training planning officers in collaboration with NISA.
The Civil Service Institute also met the Committee for Budget Defense from the National Assembly, Lami Ali. Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola has presented a total budget of 4.6 billion naira before the Senate Committee on Interior, with a consensus from the committee that Interior Ministry must revisit its policy direction to address internal insecurity. Dayo Ogunshola has the report.
It is the turn of the Minister of Interior, Gbeni Rauf Aregbesola, to appear before the Senate Committee on Interior to defend the financial proposal of the ministry for 2022 fiscal year.
Total budget of 4.6 billion. In the light of the humongous security challenges we are facing, it's a chicken pit.
All the places we are having security challenge, for example, in the North Central Zone, most of those areas are associated with illegal mining by foreigners.
For the minister, the historical and geographical structure of Nigeria created a lot of security issues. Notwithstanding, criminal elements will have technology to contend with.
We are working very, very hard to secure our border. That we put 24-hour satellite-based electronic surveillance of every inch of our border to spot real criminals.
At another defense before the Senate Committee on Federal Character and Intergovernmental Affairs, the committee has assurances of the Permanent Secretary, Tijana Umar, that the VIP section of the clinic will be delivered before the end of this administration. From the National Assembly, Dayo Ogunshola, NTA News.
To politics now, the Court of Appeal, Port Harcourt Division, has dismissed Uche Sekondo's application to stop the PDP National Convention from holding. The court orders PDP to go ahead with the convention. Kingsley Hamajiri reports.
Prince Uche Secondus filed a motion on notice on the 27th of October 2021, praying the court for two issues for determination: to preserve his right as a national chairman of the PDP empowered to convene the national convention of the party, and also to restrain the PDP from going ahead with its national convention pending the hearing and determination of the substantive appeal. Counsels to the 11 respondents objected to the application as it was not in the prayers sought in the main appeal before the court. They also noted that by virtue of his suspension, he has lost the power he is seeking via the application on notice. Justice Gabriel Kolawole, who read the unanimous decision, held that PDP has a legal right to organize its national convention. The court held, on the contrary, that Secondus has lost the right to the office of the national chairman of the PDP following his suspension by his ward, local government and state chapters of the PDP, as validated by the trial court judgment.
So the court has directed that they can continue, that PDP can continue with the national convention. However, the instruction is the appeal continues, the main appeal continues, and depending on the outcome of the appeal, if the appeal succeeds, then it has the impact on whatever decision that is taken at the national convention.
The court has dismissed the application of the applicant, Prince Secondus Uche, to stop the national convention of PDP. Rather, the court has ordered PDP to go ahead with its national convention unhindered.
Date for the main appeal, which borders on the Rivers State High Court judgment validating Secondus' suspension, would be communicated to the parties. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
And the People's Democratic Party Governors Forum says its consensus-building mechanism ahead of its 2021 elective national convention slated for this weekend has attained 80% success. Chairman of the Forum and Governor of Sokoto State, Amin Waziri Tambuwal, disclosed this after the Forum's meeting in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf reports.
All the 13 governors elected on the PDP platform attended the meeting, which attempted to get a general resolution on all the National Working Committee positions to be contested in the party's elective national convention this weekend by consensus.
Consensus is part of the democratic process, so we are imbibing that in the interest of our party so that we can continue to have stability, and then we'll position the party, as we have always said, for the future.
The forum promised to consult widely to ensure an amicable outcome on the positions yet to be resolved before the convention begins this Saturday. In the meantime, the chairman of the PDP National Convention Organizing Committee and governor of Adamawa State, Amadou Fintiri, at a media briefing says 3,600 delegates have been expected to participate in the elective convention. He adds that results of appeal screening committee has also been submitted with the disqualification of those earlier screened out upheld.
At the moment, we're still talking to those that are contesting for the office of the Deputy National Chairman South, and those that are contesting for office of the Auditor, and those that are now contesting for office of the Youth Leader. I think at the moment these are just the offices that are still having people contesting for them. The rest have been streamlined and they are at consensus level.
The open secret mode of voting is to be adopted at the convention. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party 2021 Elective National Convention Organizing Committee has commenced training of its electoral officers ahead of the convention.
We have to go into a democratic system, and for us to go into that democratic system, we have to come and receive training from the INEC, which is the first thing ever in democratic setup in Nigeria. We are going to make everything possible so that the election will be very much democratic.
The training is part of preparations for a free, fair, credible and transparent elective national convention. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Let's now join Adiola in Lagos for more reports on Nationwide. Hello, Adiola.
Hello, Lami.
The average mental health of a population has direct effect on a country's growth and development. This is why an annual research conference organized by the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital Yaba seeks to address growing mental health challenges amid COVID-19.
As various countries the world over grappled with the consequences of insecurity and other conflicts, the coronavirus pandemic reared its head, further aggravating the existing situations. Medical experts point out that these complications are triggers for mental illnesses. A World Health Organization study which reveals that there are more people living with mental health disorders in troubled spots is an affirmation of this fact.
By enhancing its capability,
the conversation by these psychiatrists and clinical psychologists is aimed at addressing this threat.
The virulent nature of the pandemic, that is highly contagious, it spread quickly. Then the complication from it, many people dying from it. As a result of this, the people tend to think. And as a result of excessive thinking, some of them may become depressed.
We are asking that health, apart from being a regular issue or an economic issue, now becomes a security issue. If you don't take care of the health of Nigerians, there is a threat to the economy.
Talking holistically, taking health holistically, we have to take cognizance of mental health as well as physical health.
Recommendations from this conference with the theme Insecurity, Conflict, and the Pandemic Impact on Mental Health are expected to make a difference beyond the neuropsychiatric facility. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
Traditional rulers and other stakeholders have been called upon to join ongoing efforts to end insurgency in the country by using their spheres of influence to drum support for the Nigerian military, who are in the trenches fighting insecurity across several fronts. This is the message that a media advocacy group, Prayer and Support for the Nigerian Armed Forces, is currently taking round Lagos State to show up support from the civil populace. Adeniyi Taiwo completes the report.
The message by the media advocacy group, Prayer and Support for Nigerian Military, was clear. Our military requires and deserves our support. The Oloja and his council agreed with the group that it is in the interest of everyone to support them with prayers and actionable intelligence.
We can't give them money. You know what we can give them. But with prayer, it will go a lot. And it will help them a lot. Because God will listen and hear our prayer.
He came to come and appeal the KBAC to help us talk to his people, to join us in supporting, in praying for our armed forces.
The message also resonated well with over 2,000 students at the Ekpe campus of Yaba College of Technology, who promised to use their influence on the social media to change the narrative.
America and wake up every day and said, God bless America. So we also want Nigerians to wake up every day and say, God bless Nigeria.
During a solidarity visit to the Nigerian Army Ordnance School, Ekpe, the commandant, Major General Adeyemi Alabi, says the military is unwavering in its commitment to ending insecurity in the country.
And raising awareness of the need for the populace to support the armed forces is a welcome development.
There is no question about the gallantry and commitment of the Nigerian Army. Their track record speaks for them. What is also certain is that ongoing campaign against insecurity will be successful. But how soon that will be depends on the quantum of support they get from the civilian populace, among other factors. From the Nigerian Army Ordnance School, Ekpe, Adeniyi Taiwo, NTA News.
This is Nationwide from the network service of the NTA. We'll take a break now, but when we return, Sadia in Sokoto will be giving us stories making the rounds over there.
First theme, welcome to Sokoto. Cholera outbreak has been described as a public health emergency in developing countries, including Nigeria, which is attributed to lack of access to clean water, unhygienic environment, insecurity, and dense population. These were the views of speakers at a public lecture on cholera outbreak in Nigeria, epidemiology, prevention, and control organized by Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto.
Cholera outbreak has remained a global health challenge in developing countries, including Nigeria. Since January 2021, cholera cases have climbed higher in Nigeria with 88.704 cases, including 3,202 deaths in 31 states recorded. Sokoto State had this year experienced cholera outbreak with 7,900 cases in 23 local government areas of the state. Speakers at the public lecture say cholera outbreak remains a burden, endemic, but can be prevented. They identified some of the factors that led to the outbreak, to include lack of clean water, insecurity, often defecation, unhealthy environment, among others.
You can't be having the same problem year in, year out, and yet you could not make use of your brain to develop solution to that particular problems.
They should be very proactive when they have a patient in their household to present to the facility for management so that the transmission within the household is limited.
Commissioner for Health Sokoto, Dr. Ali Ennami, said government is currently working with relevant stakeholders to come up with possible solutions on how to contain contagious diseases in the state.
What we need to do to improve and to make sure that next year we don't have this outbreak.
Vice Chancellor Usman Danfodio University Sokoto, represented by Deputy Vice Chancellor Admin Professor Ibrahim Magawata, said the university would continue to play its role in research development and containment of infectious diseases in the state. In Sokoto, Shehu Muhammadati, NTA News.
Stakeholders in Sokoto at a one-day training have advocated for the establishment of Persons with Disability Commission to aid the full implementation of Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act signed into law by Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. Stakeholders are optimistic that if fully implemented, the law will further liberate persons with disabilities to attain their goals. Again, Shehu Muhammad Datti reports.
The gender sensitization training for women on the discrimination against persons with disabilities was organized by Kanawa Educational Foundation for the Disabled in collaboration with the National Commission for Persons with Disability, and it brought together the people with disabilities, civil society groups, and other relevant stakeholders. It focused on the provisions of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act signed by President Muhammadu Buhari in 2019. The law covered all discriminations and disparity against persons with disabilities in public and private sectors. Right to equal education, health, empowerment opportunities are all assured under the law. Stakeholders spoke on the general overview of the law, identified for enforcement amongst biggest challenges of the discrimination law, and advocated for establishment of a state commission to tackle the issues of persons with disabilities in Sokoto.
Women are mostly left behind when it comes to issues of national discourse and concern. So it is very, very important for them to have knowledge of the law and have an understanding so that they'll be able to seek redress where necessary.
The government and its agency are under a duty to protect the disabled persons under this act.
Coordinator, Northwest National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, Amina Audu, said the sensitization is designed to educate persons with disabilities.
It's a manner of raising awareness about the law, especially in persons with disabilities community, so that they will be able to understand the law better.
There were goodwill messages from the Special Advisor on Disabled Matters and some of the participants. In Sokoto, Shehu Muhammad Datti, NTA News.
And that's it from this end. It's now back to Lami in Abuja.
Thank you, Sadia. President Muhammadu Buhari rejoices with consummate entrepreneur and trailblazing investor Chief Adebutu Kessington as he celebrates his 86th birthday. The president salutes the renowned philanthropist, selfless leader and founder of Kessington Adebukola Adebutu Foundation for his services to God and humanity in various capacities, making it his core value to bring succor to the helpless in the society. The president commends the driving force behind Baba Ijebu for continually providing wise counsels and investing in human capital development for Nigerians of all shades to express themselves towards fulfilling their potentials. As the multi-titled chief celebrates another birthday, President Buhari joins family, friends and associates in thanking God for where he has brought him, praying that the giver of life will bless him with more in good health to continue to mentor Nigerians within and outside his community. And public servants have been urged to take advantage of the Federal Integrated Self-Housing Program FISH to own a house, just as the government is working hard to get more funds for the program. This was the main thrust of a program to sensitize public servants on the processes and procedures of accessing a house under the FISH. Haman Jabani has the story.
The Federal Integrated Staff Housing FISH program is a strategic initiative to improve the welfare of civil servants through the provision of quality and affordable homes. The Office of Head of Civil Service of the Federation put together this sensitization program for public servants on the procedures of accessing a house under FISH, such as obtaining a FISH membership form and allocation form, profiling of applicants, as the case may be.
Because some people have regarded the processes as cumbersome. I'm the part of the civil servants, but I think it's worth the efforts to try whatever efforts this and energy is going to go into it. At the end of the day, the end justifies the means.
When you see the number of people that we are giving keys compared to the number of people that are in the Federal Civil Service, I think a lot needs to be done.
35,000 public servants have obtained loan, with many on the pipeline.
We are trying to make sure we work harder and get funds so that we'll be able to meet up with our mandates, because the head of service is passionate about FISH and we're looking at a lot of various options.
Because of the importance of house accommodation to every individual and every family, we have a lot of people who have applied, who are still applying.
Public servants with 5 to 25 years remaining in service can benefit from the FISH program. Haman Jabani, NTA News.
The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, has revealed that it has been able to recover some assets and funds extorted by real estate developers from subscribers. Chairman ICPC, Professor Bolaji Owasonoye, disclosed this during an investigative hearing by an ad hoc committee of the House of Representatives. Mobolaji Muribiring has the details.
There was a motion on the floor of the House to investigate suspected sharp practices by real estate developers against subscribers and investors.
Hardworking Nigerians should not lose their money to fraudulent developers with no consequences. Nigerians are crying out over these sharp practices, and we cannot turn our deep ear to their cries.
We will work with relevant stakeholders to strengthen and introduce regulation through legislation.
Chairman, Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission gave account of some alleged infractions by developers.
These developers failed in the payment of counterpart funding and in the delivery of the infrastructure to project site, and rather they resorted to offering and selling the plots to the highest bidder, contrary to the policy.
So most of these people he is talking about, they are not really members. They are people that are operating behind the shadows.
Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, who is also concerned, promised to cooperate with the committee in the investigation.
I do hope the public hearing today will be able to look at all these issues across the entire value chain, including all the issues raised by the chairman of ICPC.
Recommendation by the ad hoc committee is expected to block loopholes in the real estate sector. From the National Assembly, Mobolaji Moribiri, NTA News.
And reducing the gridlock and loss of productive hours usually experienced at the Calabar-Dupani junction. The entrance into Calabar is the concern of the Cross River State government. Thus, the construction of a spaghetti flyover along the road, which is presently at an advanced stage of completion. Paul Ebel reports that Governor Ben Ayadi was on an inspection visit to the site of the project.
The spaghetti flyover, which has been under construction for some months now and regarded as the first in this part of the world, is expected to make easy access into and outside Calabar.
But basically speaking, it will be the first spaghetti flyover in Nigeria. And phase one of it is what we are working on now. And I'm happy to say that the abutments have been completed, the beams have been cast, and we're getting ready to lift and place the beams. My hope is that by the close of quarter one of next year, this spaghetti flyover should indeed be ready.
The governor appeals to commuters to bear with the current situation and obey traffic regulations, while his government will not fail to make life meaningful to the people. In Calabar.
In Benin, Agatha has the next set of reports on News Nationwide. Agatha, is over to you.
Thank you, Lami. Welcome to Benin. Ekiti State Governor Dr. Kayode Fayemi is taking further steps to open up the state for socio-economic growth through construction of roads. To this end, the governor has flagged off the construction of a 19-kilometer Ado-Iworoko-Ifaki dual carriageway, which serves as link road between the state capital and the northern part of the country. Tayo Osho reports.
The Ado-Iworoko-Ifaki dual carriage road, which had been left uncompleted for years, serves as link to Kogi State. Governor Fayemi said the flag-off of the construction of the 19 kilometers dual carriage road is to tackle the challenges motorists encounter on the road, which usually records increasing number of travelers from the south to the northern parts of the country. The governor said the construction, which was planned to be completed within 10 months, will fast-track socio-economic growth of the state.
The government believes that with quality roads, the socio-economic lives of the communities will be enhanced. The dualization of this road is in consonance with our pillar of infrastructure and industrial development, and in alignment with all the other roads that we have constructed to improve access to market and economic opportunity.
The governor, in his drive to build a modern and technologically viable environment for job creation, also laid the foundation of the State Knowledge Zone, which will accommodate scientific research and training park, agriculture and business park, multi-logistics and industrial park, commercial and residential areas, and other facilities to positively transform the economy of the state. In Ado-Ekiti, Tayo Osho, NTA News.
Consumers of cooking gas are concerned over the rapid rise in the price of the commodity. It has skyrocketed over the past 3 years. The new price level indicates a near 80% increase against 256 naira per kilogram or 3,200 naira for 12.5 kg recorded in the first quarter of this year. Onyinye Joshua Ifeanyi has more.
From Lagos to Imo, down to Asaba, Delta State, the cries and complaints remain the same over the skyrocketing price of cooking gas, with consumers calling on the government and relevant agencies to quickly nip the problem in the bud to alleviate the hardship on the masses. The price of a kilogram is currently sold for 800 naira. This has also raised a situation of panic for domestic energy consumers in the nation, coupled with the attendant high cost of living.
12 kg is going to 8,500 as of this week. Before it was 7,500, from 5,000 to 5,500, 5,500 to 7,500.
In fact, the experience is beyond what I can explain. The experience is bitter.
5 kg, worth of 4,000 naira now. Why before we bought it at 2,800, 2,500. 3,000, from 3,000, 3,400, 3,500, now it's 4,000. It's increasing day by day.
Indications are rife that marketers' inability to offtake 450,000 metric tons per annum of the product allocation is said to be responsible for the supply shortages.
Local retailers are oblivious of the underlying reasons for this price hike.
In Asaba, Onyinye Joshua Ifeanyi, NTA News.
That's our package here. We have more reports on Nationwide from our Kaduna Network Center with Amina. But that's right after this break. To stay with us.
Efforts by the present administration towards reviving the railway services for movement of goods and services is paying off as the Nigerian Railway resumes cargo train operations on the Lagos-Kano rail line. Tina Turo in Zaria caught up with a train conveying large tons of goods from Kano to Lagos.
Steady and sure, the cargo train arrived Zaria Terminal.
What has just entered now is a rake of 15 empty containers carried from Kano, going all the way to APMT in Apapa. And we have capacity to do much more than 15. Depends on the request.
We're actually moving this one for inland container, and as ICNL, they have, we have dry ports in Kaduna. Yeah, dry ports. So they have a depot also in Kano.
The idea of cargo service is to decongest and reduce pressure on roads while providing efficient services by diversifying the transportation sector. Contrary to beliefs in some quarters, management of the Nigerian Railway Corporation says cargo train is not used to convey contraband products.
Railway is also planning to resume the running of Kaduna-Kano passenger train, Kaduna-Kafansha train as well, and others.
Cargo train service was suspended in 2020 due to COVID-19 and later to pave way for the transportation of underground water pipes urgently needed to fast-track the Zaria water project. In Zaria, Tina Turo, NTA News.
As part of efforts towards enhancing the capacity of police public relations officers, a 3-day forensic awareness workshop on basic crime scene management was held in Kano. Awal Saliu reports that the workshop, which has 42 participants from 19 northern states, is sponsored by the German Government Development Corporation.
The program is aimed at building and strengthening the police structures in selected partner countries in Africa. It is also to equip participants with necessary skills for effective descriptive, analytical and strategic communication methods touching on criminal investigation. This in turn will enable them acquire relevant skills to give appropriate responses to citizens and media inquiries into matters of forensic and evidential nature connected to criminal investigations.
It's crucial for them to be aware of the latest technologies and the latest capacities of the crime scene investigative units.
So the issue of scene of crime is very delicate. It has to be handled with care so as not to tamper with evidences that police are going to present before a court of law.
It is going to add more to the knowledge of our TPROs, on how to inform the general public on issues of investigation, especially issues of evidence at scene of crimes.
As police image makers, public relations officers, according to experts, must be versatile and have deep theoretical and practical knowledge of all aspects of policing, covering administration, investigations, and forensic processes. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's back to Lami in Abuja.
Many thanks, Amina. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps is reinforcing 20,000 personnel of the Corps to ensure the success of Anambra November 6th governorship election. Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila reports that the officers have already commenced rigorous training ahead of the national assignments.
The federal government marching order of no going back in the conduct of Anambra gubernatorial election is being enforced by security agencies, with the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps on track. These officers are among the 20,000 personnel drafted for the operation and are receiving key instructions in this training aimed at bringing them to terms with the Electoral Act.
Deployment will also be made to all the collection centers and other sub-targets to ensure that critical assets and infrastructure of government are not vandalized by any criminal elements.
The nation's electoral umpires are seeking more collaboration to protect lives and election materials during and after the polls.
INEC
as an institution mandated by the Constitution to midwife the electoral process, cannot do it alone. The electoral process is what every Nigerian should take part in.
Stakeholders believed that the preparation by INEC ahead of the exercise is making far-reaching impact, with assurance of adequate security arrangements during the exercise. In Abuja, Abrahman Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
As implementation phase of operating a true digital economy in Nigeria continues, a nationwide thank you tour has been embarked upon by youths who are already counting what they stand to gain once the Nigerian Startup Bill becomes an act of the National Assembly. Ikechukwu Ndukwe reports.
Tracy Okoro, Fatima Osman and Joseph Atta have been looking forward for a day when technology-enabled businesses will be formally regulated. The news of the Nigerian Startup Bill introduced by the presidency is one step to the hope will revolutionize small businesses to drive Nigeria's quest for a true digital economy. This appreciation rally is based on benefits used with the right in accessing the startup path for tech businesses, provision of digital business infrastructure.
What we want to do is to target talent and access to funding. Anybody who is doing business in Nigeria, the main customers outside Nigeria is exporting.
The bill, if passed, is expected to improve the doing business in a digital economy. In Abuja, Ikechukwu Ndukwe, NTA News.
Now, the federal government has launched a sustainable standard enhancement project to further develop quality services in the public and private sectors. Online Kauju reports.
Nigeria made a bold decision to be the first country to take credit from the World Bank to build capacity in procurement, environmental and social standards. The project, which will be for 5 years, has a budget line of $80 million, with 37.5% devoted to technical assistance and 62.5% performance-based payments.
At least 30% of the enrollment or graduates from this program must be women.
We will, in a multi-stakeholder collegiate, ensure the success of this laudable project.
Because of lack of academic programs and curriculum in the sector in the Nigerian education system, 5 federal government agencies and 6 centers of excellence are responsible for the implementation of the project.
The program is scalable. The various tracks are scalable to enable growth within the centers.
The project has 5 tracks, which represent different academic programs. Track A, which represents short courses, is ready for enrollment, while other tracks will commence from January 2022. Online Kauju, NTA News.
All is now set for better bilateral relations between Nigeria and Côte d'Ivoire on the teaching of mathematics. This follows a visit by the president of the International University of Grand-Bassam, Côte d'Ivoire, Professor Saliou Touare, to the National Mathematical Center. The collaboration is intended to aid students in Côte d'Ivoire interested in studying mathematics and related sciences gain the required knowledge. Director General of the National Mathematical Center, Professor Promise Mebini, explained that the center's resource materials and kits would facilitate the process with ease. And that's it on Nationwide for today. We thank you for watching. Remember to always connect with the NTA in the fight against rape and rapists. Have a good evening.